Just quickly tell me, a lot of people seem to be, they are expecting a lot from this government, and some people are asking that they need a more pronounced statement from the president on, so for example, economic policy, and making statements on the state of things and how the government is going to go in the coming days. What's your view about how the Buhari-led administration have gone so far, especially in this dire state of our economy?
You know, I don't allow myself to have a view on these things. If a man has run for the presidency, I'll trust him to know what to do, to have a plan, to be able to execute that plan. And after 4 years, Nigerians have their say on that plan and how it's been executed. That's the way a democratic system works, and that's a nice thing. But I do think, however, and I like the parallel, the metaphor of civil aviation that Bismarck used. You know, when you are in a turbulence, the one voice you want to hear is the voice of the captain telling you this is under control, correct? And explaining to you what exactly is happening, because some people may begin to harbor, all manner of phobias may begin to arise, and you want reassurance. I don't think it's much different in a country. The president is the captain of the ship, and I prefer the metaphor of the captain to the Nigerian expression of father. The president is not a father of the nation. You don't elect your father. You elect the president. Now, the captain of the ship should be there to do what? Tell you what's going on, explain to you what's going on, and let you know that this is under control. I do think that the responsibility for public communication is important in a democratic dispensation. And if we could do a lot more of it, frame what the situation is, frame the diagnosis, give the people a pathway to how it's being solved, and let them know that they can participate in promoting and proffering solutions to that. And if anything happens, this is the place to go. That would be a great thing. We build a team to make Nigeria better. Well,
quickly, let me give you an information. Well, this is part of the conversation. The president of Nigeria, what exactly he takes home every month. That's according to the agency in charge of the revenue and mobilization of those funds. Well, the president of Nigeria, this is exactly what his annual, the payable annual pay looks like. Okay. Let's go to what the vice president gets. Yeah, this is what the vice president gets. That's about 2 million short of what he goes, the president goes home with annually. But both of them have said they will cut down on what they get annually. And one question that Nigerians will be asking is the fact that, what about the National Assembly? If this is an example, what should we be doing as a nation to what the National Assembly? A lot of Nigerians have talked about the burden of what goes into funding the wages and salaries of National Assembly, especially when they talked about the wardrobe allowances and the rest. It said that an average lawmaker in Nigeria earns more than any lawmaker in the world.
Yeah, of course, the president has set the tone by setting the example. I think El-Rufai has done the same thing in Kaduna. So what you're going to see is that they're going to be a cutback in all of these salaries and allowances. There are two things when you talk about salaries. There's productivity. Even if you pay high salaries and you have high productivity, the productivity kind of compensates for the high salaries. But first of all, the salaries have to come down. The productivity has to increase. How many laws were passed in the last 4 years? All we had was oversight functions and legislators extorting money from agencies and ministers and all that. The whole thing became an extortion racket. So if you add to the high salaries the extortion racket that was there, the compensation was significant. So we need to bring it back. This country is not as big as the state of California. But if you add all the legislators and all the PAs and all of that, we have 10 times more the number of officers running this country than they have in California.
Some people have suggested that we should even have a part-time lawmakers in Nigeria.
But even let them be productive. The point is that they're not even working. They need to be productive.
They're not doing enough.
No, they're not. What are they doing?
An average lawmaker, for example, an average senator earns about 700,000 naira monthly.
Well, if they can do work that is commensurate with that amount of money, I don't have a problem. But you have to be productive. You cannot.
But can we afford that kind of amount?
We can't afford it.
For 360 House of Reps members
first of all, we have to cut
and
it back.
109 senators.
We have to cut it back now, but we also need to increase productivity, and we have to eliminate extortion. That is what people don't understand. Extortion itself is a racket which adds to the compensation to of these people.
All right. Okay, just quickly, one of the things that we saw recently in the past days is just how the EFCC just rose up to some level of prosecution. And let me show you some anti-corruption cases that we have seen so far. About 4 former governors are now standing trial with the EFCC. Murtala Nyako, former governor of Adamawa State; Ikedio Hakim, former governor of Imo State; Sule Lamido, former governor of Jigawa State; and Timi Silva, former governor of Bayelsa State. Professor Odinkalu, tell me, the president says he wants to plug leakages, and of course he said the anti-corruption fight is going to be major in his activities. Do you think that the recent activities of the EFCC is suspicious, and just how can we get more money in plugging leakages and getting stolen funds?
Well, we obviously have to plug leakages. Unquestionably, there's no doubt about that. Sorry, let me just back up on one thing. This idea of governors, the president, the vice president, slashing their salaries, I think it is alluring. I do think lots of people would welcome it. But I also would suggest add caution about something. There's got to be a process here. The salaries of the president, the vice president, and governors are not set by them. And they actually don't have the powers under the law to cut their own salaries. That is done by the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation, and Fiscal Commission. The president cannot sit down and say, I cut my salary. No, he lacks those powers. Actually, there's no law in Nigeria that empowers the president to do that. There's no law in Nigeria that empowers a governor to say, I cut my salary. What would happen is this. They can collect their salary and decide to donate 50% of that back to the state. Now, to do that, we need a system to get that money and be able to use it for the public purpose. So let's not, in the name of populism here, do something that is actually not authorized by law. Because a democratic system is a system of laws. And we do not elect presidents and governors to do things that the law does not authorize them to do. And I'm quite clear about this. I've looked into the matter, and I'm absolutely certain that no governor has the powers to cut their salary by 50%. They've got to go through the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission. All right. Now, on the corruption issue, my question is, where has this EFCC been all along? And I think in this, I'm actually reflecting the views of Nigerians. We've had the EFCC here for so long. All of these people that they're charging have been there for that long. And all of a sudden, we're having them falling over themselves to charge these people to court. And then we're getting these orders that actually make the judiciary look laughable. With all due respect, again, I don't like to rely on the media to form final views on these matters. But the idea that you can charge somebody to court for a bailable offense and then remand them in custody for over 2 months because you're going on vacation does not sound right to me. That's not law. That's voodoo.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof. Just a few seconds. What are your thoughts on this?
I think that they say it's better late than never. But it's structural. We have the EFCC being all of this time. But now that the leadership has changed, I think everybody's falling in line to do the right thing.
You think it's not suspicious?
Well, I don't know what it is. The point is that what is the end? The end game is that the signals are sent out that the government will not tolerate corruption, and therefore you have to do that. And I think it's a move in the right direction. The timing is a bit curious, but at least they say it's better late than never.
All right, thank you so much. We have to leave it there. Then I must thank you so much for being a part of the program, Mr. Bismarck Rewane, of course, Professor Chidi Odinkalu. And more thanks to you that have been staying at home and wherever you are watching us in the UK and around the world, of course, our Nigerian viewers. Many thanks for being such a wonderful companion on this program. My name is Sean Kimbale on behalf of the crew here at Channels TV headquarters in Lagos. Till next time, bye for now.